Have you ever felt like you're different people in different situations? Like one part of you thrives when you are the center of attention, but the other part of you just wants to crawl up into bed at the end of the day and talk to nobody. Or maybe people describe you in a way that feels completely off from how you see yourself. That's because you're not just your sun sign. In fact, your sun sign, the part that most people know from horoscopes, is just only a fraction of the story. If you've ever read your daily horoscope and you thought, that doesn't even sound like me, that is completely fair and that makes sense. I've had that experience too, because astrology is so much more than just that. When we have an entire birth chart that shows us an entire map of our whole inner world, along with our life purpose, the people we're going to meet, and so much more. Learning astrology can take years and years and years, and that's why astrologers are paid top dollar to give you a whole reading. However, one thing that you can start to understand is the core of your chart, your big three: your sun, your moon, and your rising sign. These placements shape your identity, how people perceive you, how you navigate with the world. Your sun sign is the essence, it's the core of who you are, and this depends on the day you were born. That's why when people ask you your sign, they're referring to your sun sign. Your moon sign is your heart. It's your emotional world. At your core, what makes you feel safe. And then your rising sign is mainly the mask, the first impression you give. That's what people describe you as when they meet you. Most people go through life only knowing their sun sign, which is kind of like reading the first chapter of the book and thinking you know the entire story. But today we are going to dive deeper, because once you understand your big three, everything starts to make so much more sense and you start to believe astrology and you can use it as a guide. It tells you why you crave certain things, why you react the way you do, and also why sometimes you just feel misunderstood. Astrology isn't just about predicting the future, it's about understanding ourselves so deeply that we can feel comfortable in our skin and have self-awareness of how to navigate the world. Let's start with the sun sign. So this is what we are most familiar with. It's like, I'm a Leo, or I'm a Cancer, I'm a Virgo. It's the sign that you're typically looking up in your daily horoscope when you're scrolling on Instagram. But it is so much more than just a daily prediction. Your sun sign represents the core of who you are, your life force, your energy, your personality. Imagine it as the sun in the sky. Just like the sun gives warmth and radiance to everything on the earth, in a cheesy way, your sun, your personality, is also giving warmth and it's radiating from you the strongest. That's why most people identify with their sun sign the most. But here is where it gets interesting. If you ignore your sun sign in astrology, you will likely feel lost. You'll feel like you're going through the motions of life without a purpose. You'll be confused, not understanding why you're here or why you're meant to be here. Let me tell you about a friend of mine. Let's call her Cherry. Cherry was very ambitious. She was always pushing for success, and she was a Capricorn sun. Capricorn suns thrive on hard work. They thrive on structure, on reputation, on climbing the social ladder, and also climbing the ladder to success. But despite her professional success, she still felt empty inside. There were other things going on in her life that made her feel down, that made her feel emotionally heavy. She felt like she was constantly moving forward, but disconnected from her true self, like something was missing. After I looked deeper into Cherry's astrology chart, I found that her moon sign is actually in Cancer. Although she has this very hardworking sun sign in Capricorn, her moon sign is actually a very watery, emotional, temperamental, moody zodiac sign. For years, Cherry was just ignoring this. She didn't know what her moon sign was. She was so focused on her sun sign being in Capricorn because that's what the whole world talked about in society. She thought that she was all about success and that she was on the right path pursuing her professional life. But then when we explored her Cancer moon, we understood that personal fulfillment is also going to come from when she builds a family, when she has connections and people around her she can truly depend on. A place where she feels safe and nurtured, and home environment is actually even more important than just her professional life for her to feel secure. Once Cherry began understanding her moon sign and nurturing it on that deeper level, she felt comforted. She felt peace. She felt more security. Instead of focusing on goals so much, she gave herself permission to feel into her emotions and see them as valuable, not see them as something to pass off as she went towards her professional goal. But we are still talking about the sun sign. On a deeper level, the sun sign is also connected to our ego. It's the part of you that craves recognition, it craves purpose. And when you're not honoring your sun sign, you may feel disconnected from who you truly are. Psychologists often talk about the ego as the way we interact with the world, the way that we see ourselves. When we neglect that true inner self, we can start to feel lost, we can feel frustrated, we can feel anxious. So although it's so important for her to focus on her moon sign and honor her emotions in that deeper part of herself, she also needs to honor her ego. She needs to honor her identity and why she's here. When you align with your sun sign, you tap into your authenticity, you tap into your potential. That's why Cherry was able to reach success, to go after her goals, because she channeled her sun sign energy. Aligning with your sun sign allows you to live from a place of authenticity. Me personally, as a Virgo sun, I'm very into self-growth, self-wellness, being the best version of myself, really pursuing fitness and listening to self-growth podcasts all the time. When I was trying to hide that from the world, I wasn't fulfilling my purpose. But the minute I was able to embrace that and use that in my conversations with people and in my work, like with astrology here on YouTube, here on TikTok, on Instagram, that is when my true personality, my ego, began to shine in a way that actually brings light to other people. So now let's talk about how to find your sun sign. It's very, very simple. It's based off the day you were born. For example, if you were born between March 21st and April 19th, you are an Aries sun sign. So just look up your date of birth and ask, what is my sun sign if I am born on this day? And it'll tell you. When you look at your sun sign, you search it up on the web, think of it like the energy that propels you forward in your life. To truly live in your sun sign, it's important to incorporate that energy in your daily life. Like for me, I'm a Virgo sun, so in the morning I'll listen to self-growth podcasts, or I'll really put an emphasis on learning about nutrition, learning about how to grow myself and work on my personality, and also be in service to others. If your sun sign is in Sagittarius, your journey might include expanding your knowledge, adding travel into your daily life, seeking experiences that broaden your horizons. Embrace your sun sign, do not fight it. Find the environments, the people that allow you to express it. When you start living in alignment with your sun sign, the world will open up for you in profound ways. Let's recap. So, the sun sign represents our core identity. It is where our ego and our purpose is found. It's the energy that drives us. When we align with our sun sign, we feel whole, and ignoring your sun sign can lead you to feeling unfulfilled and lost in life. If you need to take some notes, feel free to grab a notebook, but we are going to move on to moon signs next. The moon sign in astrology. We touched on this a little bit, but if the sun sign is who you are at your core, the moon sign is the deepest version of yourself. It's like your emotional inner world. It's who you are when nobody is watching. When you're in your room alone, it's the way that you process life on the deepest level. And it also tells us what makes you feel safe, what makes you feel nurtured, comfortable around people. Your moon sign also influences the way that you react. It's the way that you respond to stress and also how you need to be loved. It's so helpful to look at the moon sign of you and your partner and share with each other how you each need to be loved so you can accommodate that. Astrology can really be a tool to help us advocate for what we want in a partnership and be able to accommodate our partners and have them accommodate our emotional needs. If your sun is your outward expression in the world, the moon is the inner, deeper, the more private part of yourself. Think about it like this. People often don't see the moon in the sky. You know, when there is a new moon, people aren't seeing it. It's hidden. And also it only comes out at night. It comes out in the nighttime when most people are sleeping. The sun is out during the day for everyone to see, and it's shining a light on everybody. It's bringing illumination. Sometimes it's shining bright, right? But usually it's hidden in darkness. And just like the phases of the moon cycle, our emotions are always shifting inside. Most people go through life feeling emotionally misunderstood, but that's often because they don't understand the needs of their moon sign. When you look at your moon sign, you can figure out what makes you feel emotionally secure. Whether you wear your emotions on your sleeve or you hide them in private, how you express your emotions, the kind of love and support that you crave deep down, that you want and you need in a partnership. And also, it tells us about the emotional patterns and habits you picked up in childhood. If your emotions are feeling big, out of control, neglected, or you're feeling really moody and emotional, it's likely because the needs of your moon sign aren't being fulfilled. Let's say you have a Cancer moon. Cancer moons need deep warmth, connection. They need a safe home space that they can retreat to. If they don't feel emotionally safe, or like they have a place where they can just curl up at the end of the day, they might build up walls and become overly protective over their hearts. But if you have an Aries moon, for example, Aries moons really need to move. They need to express their emotions. They need to talk about it. And usually there's emotional outbursts that they need to have and then come down from the high after that. They like to conquer emotions. They don't like to sit in their emotions. They need to move to get rid of them. When you start honoring the needs of your moon sign, you will feel and experience a shift. You'll stop fighting against your emotions and start to understand them. Let me tell you about someone. Let's just name them James. James was someone who always felt like they were too much. He was deeply sensitive, deeply emotional, but he was growing up in a household that didn't encourage people to share their emotions. James had a Scorpio moon. Scorpio moons are deeply passionate, they're deeply emotionally intense, they need someone they can truly trust, they need loyalty to feel safe, and they crave deep, transformative, intense experiences. But growing up, he was always being told, you are too overdramatic, you are too over the top. It's not that deep. So James learned to suppress his emotions because he was always being told that they were too much and that he was too much. The problem is, the needs of his moon sign, the needs of his emotions never just went away. He just learned to ignore his emotions and suppress them because he felt like he was a burden to other people. And then he goes into life and he keeps attracting these shallow, unfulfilling relationships and partnerships that feel surface level and don't actually nurture him. And the whole time he wonders, why do I feel so alone? It wasn't until he learned about his moon sign that everything clicked into place for him. His emotions weren't the issue. He was just surrounding himself in environments that didn't appreciate and fulfill the needs of his moon sign. Once he started honoring and recognizing the needs of his moon sign, everything shifted. He found people who valued intensity, who honored his need for deep, valuable conversations, to go into the inner world of emotions and share that drama, share that passion, that intensity. When it comes to the psychology of the moon sign, it's actually linked to our inner child, linked to the experiences we had in childhood and the habits we formed around our emotions. It represents our earliest emotional patterns. Think about it. The first way that you experienced emotions were when you were nurtured as a child. Did your caregiver encourage for you to express your emotions or discourage you? Did they teach you to suppress it or did they teach you to open up? Your moon sign can also tell you how you looked for comfort as a kid. It's your emotional programming. For example, a Taurus moon could have grown up in an environment where security and comfort and luxury were key, and now they are seeking that in their marriage. They are seeking someone who is secure, comfortable, and loyal. A Gemini moon may have grown up in an environment where they learned that intellectual conversations and witty humor was a great way to avoid dealing with the messy, deep emotions. And now as they grow up, they are uncomfortable expressing and connecting to those deep emotions, and they use humor to hide them. Capricorn moons may have been taught that emotions were a weakness, so they learn to suppress them. They bottle them up and they try and handle everything alone. By understanding your moon sign, you are understanding the emotional patterns that run in the background of your life 24/7. To truly align with your moon sign, we're going to calculate it right now. And what I want you to do is just go to Cafe Astrology or astrocharts.com, and you want to put in your exact birth time, birth date, and birth location. You want to have the exact birth time because we're going to need this later. And you're going to take a screenshot of your chart. You're going to look for your moon sign in your chart and see what sign is it in. For example, if you have a moon sign in Leo and you want to start aligning with your emotions, giving yourself permission to express your emotions loud and boldly, not hiding them. Surrounding yourself with people who celebrate you and who you can help, with people who celebrate you. If your moon is in Virgo, creating structures and routines and living in a clean, organized space that makes you feel at peace, that makes you feel secure and stable. If your moon is in Sagittarius, allowing yourself time for the freedom to explore, to grow your mind, to travel, because Sagittarius thrives on adventure. When your moon sign is nurtured in the right way and in the right partnerships, your whole landscape will shift. So let's recap really quick. Your moon sign is your emotional world. It's often linked to your childhood emotional pattern. It represents how you feel, process, and experience your emotions. Ignoring your moon sign can lead to confusion and disassociation with your emotions, and honoring your moon sign allows you to connect with emotions and express them in a way that feels natural. You understand the core of who you are, your emotional world, and now we are going to move on to your rising sign. Let's get into your rising sign. So, to figure out your rising sign, you're just going to go back to your chart that we just calculated online for free, and you are going to see your ascendant. So rising sign is also known as the ascendant in the birth chart. It was the sign on the eastern horizon at the time you were born, but you don't need to know those details, okay? So your rising sign, also known as your ascendant, is the mask that you wear. It's the energy that you project into the world. It's like your Instagram feed. It's the energy you first have when you say hello to somebody. It's what people see before they see your sun sign, before they see your moon sign. And your rising sign is also the path that your soul is taking in this lifetime, what you are rising to. It represents how you move through the world and the lens that you experience life with. Think of your sun sign like the actor in the movie of your life. Your moon sign is the script, like the internal dialogue of what's going on behind the scenes. And then your rising sign is like the movie's opening scene, the first impression you get before you decide if you want to watch the movie or not. It's how the world perceives the character before they know the full story. Your rising sign plays a huge role in shaping your personality, your identity, and also how you look, your physical features, and how you dress and what looks good on you. Have you ever met someone who doesn't match their sun sign? Like maybe they're a Scorpio sun, but they come off as super bubbly and they're wearing pastels, very light, compassionate energy. Well, they probably have like a fire sign rising, a Cancer rising, Pisces rising, Gemini rising, but then they have that Scorpio sun. When you get to know them more, that's when the sun sign comes. Or you meet someone who's a Leo sun, but when you first meet them, they're very quiet and reserved. Your rising sign is filtering all of your energy in your chart. Your rising sign sets the tone for how you interact in your life and with other people. It's also like the lens that you see the world through. So if you're a Sagittarius rising, you see the world through rose-colored glasses, probably more of an optimistic lens. You see the world as something to adventure in, to learn about. You are someone adventurous and free-spirited, and that's how you see other people in the world and the people around you. However, if you're a Virgo rising, you probably see the world as more structured. But here is something that people don't often realize. Your rising sign, it sets the tone, the layout for your entire birth chart. It dictates what sign falls into each house. Your rising sign is like the map that guides the entire journey of the birth chart. So this is why you might feel disconnected from your inner self. I'm going to give you a story. Let's just call this person Maya. Maya is a Pisces sun, Cancer moon, but she is an Aries rising. Deep down, she is this gentle, sensitive, intuitive soul who feels things so deeply and cares so deeply about those around her. Her sun and her moon craves those deep spiritual connections and comfort. But when people first meet her, they don't see that at all. They don't see her softness. They see her bold, fiery Aries energy ready to conquer, this more independent, strong force entrepreneur spirit. Because of this, Maya probably felt so misunderstood because people don't see that other side of her. They mistake her for very confident, independent, and bold. People assumed she wasn't someone who needed support, who needed emotional comfort. In reality, Maya longed for those deep, intimate connections with people. But her Aries rising made her appear so self-sufficient that people didn't even check on her. They assumed she was okay and she had it all together. And this is something so many people struggle with, the disconnection from their inner self and how they appear. They wonder, why do people see me this way when I don't feel like that deep down inside? This is why understanding your rising sign is so powerful, because you can begin to understand how people perceive you. And then you can align with your external energy and you can understand how to give off the best first impression and still have your personality shine through as well. From a psychological lens, your rising sign also tells us about how you learned to navigate the world through childhood, and also now how you start projects based off of those childhood patterns and lessons. A Capricorn rising may have grown up in a world where they learned to be very responsible at a young age and do things themselves. A Gemini rising may have learned that being adaptable, being witty and humorous, and talking on an intellectual level with people allowed them to fit in, so that's how they navigate the world. Your rising sign is how you learn to survive and present yourself in the world. But as you grow up, you consciously begin to reshape or embrace this energy. To truly embrace your rising sign energy, ask yourself, does my rising sign align with who I truly feel like I am? Am I being perceived in a way that feels authentic to me? How can I use the strengths of my rising sign to navigate life more efficiently? For example, like Maya with this Aries rising, she gives off this bold, assertive energy, and she can embrace that by taking the lead in life, taking the lead on projects. But then if your rising is in Libra, you naturally come off as very charming and diplomatic, so you can use that to make social connections and network with people and leave a great first impression. Just know that your rising sign isn't separate from you. Even though you might not always identify with it, you are growing into it. So let's recap. Your rising sign is your first impression. It is the energy you naturally project. It is your soul's path influencing how you move through this life. It plays a huge role in your psychology, your survival mechanisms, your first impressions, how people perceive you. All right, everybody, so now you know the basics on your sun, your moon, and your rising sign. You understand the core of your chart and these parts of your personality. Together, we have more of a full picture of who you are. Now you can stop questioning who you are, you can stop fighting your emotions, and you can stop feeling misunderstood. Astrology isn't about putting yourself in a box, it's about understanding the parts of yourself that might feel misunderstood or like they haven't truly been seen. And now you've uncovered the first layer of your birth chart. What's next? There is so much more to learn. Your Venus, your Mars, your houses, they all play this karmic aspect in your life. If you are wanting to go deeper into astrology or you feel called to, I would love to read your chart. You can book an astrology reading with me. We can talk about what your chart says about relationships, career, and your life purpose, how to break free from old emotional patterns, and so much more. I will link my Stan store if you want to book a reading with me. If you have any questions before you book, just DM me on Instagram. If this video helped you see yourself more clearly, I would love to be be a part of your journey, subscribe for more. You can also follow me on TikTok and Instagram. That's where I'm most active. And comment below your big three. I want to know your sun, moon, and your rising. I love you so much, and I will see you next time.